10 shocking cases of miraculous healing that cannot be explained. It's no secret that people have been cured of seemingly incurable diseases for centuries. Some even claim to have been healed from things like paralysis and cancer through faith and prayer. But is there any truth to these claims? And if so, how many other miraculous healing cases go undocumented? Today we're looking at some recent cases of miraculous healing that science can't explain. So let's jump right in. Number 10. The Russian woman who walked after being paralyzed for 24 years. A woman in Russia who had been paralyzed for 24 years suddenly found herself walking again after she attended a church service. Ludmila's legs had been completely paralyzed since an accident when she was just 16 years old. She spent countless hours in hospitals, underwent multiple surgeries, and even alternative treatments in Germany, but nothing helped her walk again. When all hope seemed to be lost, Ludmila turned to God and started attending church services. One day during the service, she felt a sudden surge of energy and was overwhelmed with emotion. As she stood up, she felt something incredible happen. Her legs, which hadn't moved in over 2 decades, suddenly began to work. She walked around the church and even danced, something she hadn't done since before her accident. Doctors were baffled by her sudden recovery and couldn't offer an explanation. Ludmila credits her healing to divine intervention, saying that only God could have performed such a miracle. Number 9. Boy healed from brain cancer. In 2017, a 4-year-old boy named Jafari was diagnosed with an aggressive form of brain cancer. Despite undergoing surgery to remove the tumor, chemotherapy, and radiation therapy, the cancer kept coming back. Desperate for a miracle, his parents turned to the pastor of their church, who anointed Jafari with holy water and prayed over him. Just 3 days later, an MRI scan showed that the tumor had completely vanished. Doctors were stunned and unable to explain this sudden and complete remission. Jafari's parents attribute his healing to the power of God and the pastor's prayers. They credit their son's remarkable recovery to divine intervention, praising God for the miracle he performed in their son's life. This case highlights the faith and resilience of the family in the face of a life-threatening illness and the inexplicable healing that they experienced. It also raises questions about the role of prayer and divine intervention in the medical field. Number 8. The Brazilian teenager who was raised from the dead. In 2013, a teenager in Brazil was killed in a motorcycle accident. His body was mangled beyond recognition, and he had no vital signs. But against all odds, his mother's desperate prayers may have brought him back to life. After the accident, doctors pronounced Anderson dead and prepared his body for burial. However, his mother, Maria, refused to give up. She started praying fervently, begging God to bring her son back to life. As she prayed, she massaged his chest and mouth, and miraculously, Anderson's heart began to beat again. He was rushed back into surgery and eventually made a full recovery. Doctors were amazed by the turn of events and were unable to explain how Anderson survived. Many believe that Maria's unwavering faith and desperate pleas saved her son's life. This case has been dubbed the boy who was raised from the dead and has become a well-known miracle story. Number 7. Blind man regains sight through divine intervention. A man in India who had been blind for 25 years regained his sight suddenly and miraculously. Apu had been blind since birth and lived a life of darkness until one day when he attended a church service. During the service, a pastor laid hands on him and prayed for his healing. And just like that, Apu could see for the first time in his life. Overwhelmed with emotion, Apu fell to his knees and thanked God for restoring his sight. He was taken to a hospital where doctors performed tests and confirmed that his eyesight had fully returned. They were baffled by the sudden change and couldn't offer an explanation. Apu credits his healing to the power of God and the pastor's prayers. This case of miraculous healing spread quickly through the local community and beyond, leaving people in awe of the healing power of faith. Number 6. The paralyzed man who walked after receiving holy water. In 2013, a man in South Africa who had been paralyzed from the waist down for 8 years suddenly found himself walking again after being anointed with holy water. Leon was in a car accident that left him paralyzed. Despite undergoing surgery and rehabilitation, he remained wheelchair-bound. One day he attended a church service where the pastor blessed him with holy water and prayed for his healing. The next morning, Leon woke up feeling different. He got out of bed and walked to the bathroom where he saw his feet for the first time in years. Overjoyed, he called for his wife, who then helped him walk around the house. Leon continued to improve and was eventually able to walk unaided, Doctors were amazed by his recovery and were unable to explain it. Leon believes that God intervened and healed him through the power of prayer and faith. Number 5. Woman healed from lupus after being anointed with oil. A woman in Brazil who had been suffering from the autoimmune disease lupus for years was suddenly healed after being anointed with holy oil. DiCiara had been bedridden for months, unable to move or speak. Her condition was so severe that she had to be fed through a tube. Her family took her to a church service where a pastor prayed over her and anointed her with oil. The next day she woke up feeling like a new person. She was able to get out of bed and walk, and she had regained her voice. Over the next few weeks, Daisy's health continued to improve, and she was soon able to return to her normal life. Doctors were baffled by her sudden recovery and were unable to explain it. Daisy credits her healing to the power of God and the pastor's anointing. Number 4. Deaf boy speaks and hears after prayer. In 2015, a boy in India who had never heard a sound or spoken a word experienced a miraculous change after a pastor prayed for him. Rishi had been deaf and mute since birth, relying on sign language to communicate. One day, his mom took him to a church service where the pastor prayed for his healing, and guess what? Rishi suddenly could hear and speak, shouted, "I can hear, I can speak," and the church erupted in applause. Overjoyed, Rishi's mom rushed him to the hospital, where doctors confirmed that his hearing and speech had fully returned. They were completely stunned by this sudden change and couldn't explain it. Rishi and his mom believe his healing was all thanks to God and the pastor's prayers. This incredible story left everyone in awe of the amazing power of faith. Number 3. Boy healed from rare disorder after receiving holy water. In India, there was a boy named Rahul who suffered from a rare disorder that made his body feel like it was on fire. Ouch! He couldn't control his body temperature and was in constant pain. His parents took him to see many doctors, but no one could figure out what was wrong or how to help him. Then, they decided to take him to a church service, where a pastor blessed him with holy water. Miraculously, the very next day, Rahul woke up feeling like a brand new person. The pain was gone, and he could finally control his body temperature. Over the next few weeks, Rahul kept getting better and was soon back to living his normal life. Doctors were baffled by his sudden recovery and couldn't explain it. Rahul and his family believe his healing was a true blessing from God and the pastor's prayer. Number 2. The paralyzed man who walked after receiving holy water. In Brazil, a man named Jose had been paralyzed from the waist down for 15 long years after a motorcycle accident. He had gone through surgery and rehab but was still stuck in a wheelchair. One day, he attended a church service where the pastor prayed for him and sprinkled him with holy water. And just like that, Jose was able to walk again. He rushed home, practicing his steps with the help of his family. Over the next few weeks, Jose's strength and balance improved so much that he could walk without any assistance. Doctors were absolutely shocked by his recovery and couldn't figure out how it happened. Jose firmly believes that it was God's power and the pastor's blessing that healed him. Number 1. The U.S. veteran who was healed from multiple health issues. A U.S. veteran who had been dealing with multiple health issues, including PTSD, anxiety, depression, and physical pain, was suddenly healed after receiving a prayer from a pastor. Mark had served in the U.S. Army and had been exposed to combat. He had struggled with the physical and emotional scars of war, including PTSD and anxiety. He had tried traditional medicine and therapy, but nothing seemed to work. One day he attended a church service, and the pastor prayed for his healing. Miraculously, Mark was immediately filled with a sense of peace and calm. His anxiety and depression lifted, and his physical pain disappeared. Over the next few weeks, Mark continued to improve and was soon able to lead a more normal life. He credits his healing to the power of prayer and faith. Those are just a few of the many reported cases of miraculous healing that cannot be explained. Do you know of any others? Let me know in the comments below. Also, please like and share this video if you think someone else might find it interesting. And that's all for now. See you next time.